Welcome to Business Line's State of the Economy podcast, where you'll find insight, analysis, and the story behind the numbers.
Hello and welcome to a new episode of Business Line's State of Economy podcast. Today we have with us Ms. Sushma Rawat, who is the Director Exploration at Oil and Natural Gas Corporation, India's largest E&P company and crude oil producer. Ms. Rawat is among the few top women leaders in the global crude oil and gas exploration industry. She is a veteran with more than 3 decades of experience here. Now, as our listeners are aware that the oil and gas exploration and production has become more critical for India than ever, and at a time when the narrative of energy security is getting stronger every day. As India aims to become a world's third largest economy, aided by a robust manufacturing and ecosystem, the world's third largest hydrocarbon consumer needs to ensure an affordable and sustained energy supply. And adding to this, with light of geopolitical tensions, that this ongoing security narrative is becoming more important. It is here that Ms. Rawat's deep understanding of the exploration sector can help our listeners in understanding the efforts that India is making to increase its domestic production. Welcome, Ms. Rawat.
Namaskar, and thank you for having me here.
Without wasting any time, Ms. Rawat, I'll straight away go to the questions. You see, oil and gas exploration is perhaps the very heart of the hydrocarbon trade. And you and your team are at the core of India's quest for energy security. And it is a complex and technical activity. Could you share your thoughts with our listeners on how critical is exploration for the oil and gas sector?
Thank you. In today's world, when everybody talks about climate change and renewable energy, I'm really, really happy to say that, there is still an inquisitiveness about our energy security, about the oil and gas exploration, especially the relevance of oil and gas industry to the nation. We have started exploration in India, actually started for oil and gas way back in 1956. Before that, as listeners would be aware, we only had oil in Assam. So after independence, because of the reasons you have cited correctly in terms of the strategic requirement for oil and gas, the geopolitics being what it was. So the effort started in 56, and we are glad to say that ONGC made its first discovery other than Assam, outside Assam, in 1959. For the oil and gas, what we need to know in exploration is where it could be. So knowing the subsurface, it becomes very crucial. You have to have knowledge of geology, of structure, tectonics, of the petroleum systems, because you have to know where it was generated from, how it would have migrated over millions of years and accumulated in the sedimentary basins that we have. So in India, we categorize our basins into 26 numbers, which are flung all across in the onland, in the offshore, in the Himalayas, in the Deccan area as well. So all this study comprising the stratigraphy, which is the layered age differentiation of lithology of rock types, that knowledge had to be accumulated, had to be ascertained. So a lot of data acquisition in forms of surface geological prospecting, geochemical prospecting, then non-seismic like gravity magnetic studies, seismics in the onland, and then in the offshore was undertaken, and the mega discovery, came after that. So it is the effort and the endeavor of the company that we were able to establish 9 out of the 10 known sedimentary basins which are on a commercial production on current date. So the volume of, you mentioned about the resource assessment. Let me mention here the study and the resource appraisal of oil and gas in the entire sedimentary area of India. It was carried out by ONGC under the aegis of MOPNG, and we were able to estimate prognosticated resource base of around 42 billion tons of oil and oil equivalent gas. Of that, only a fraction of it has been discovered and converted into reserves and thereby production. So, exploration is the wealth creator for the company and for the nation. And the volumes that we have produced right now, I know we are the third biggest importer, but still we are able to sustain to a large extent in gas. And gas is going to be the next fuel for transition when you talk about climate change. A lot of new efforts are being undertaken. There is only 10% appraisal of the sedimentary basinal area that has been done till date. But ONGC and especially exploration, we are trying to increase the appraisal by acquiring various kinds of data, processing it, interpreting it, and also undertaking exploratory well drilling in different parts of the country. The accretion and the new discoveries are going to come. We had two major discoveries in the offshore in Mahanadi last year. So I'm hopeful that, the oil and gas industry will continue to be there. Of course, with emphasis on some of the renewables which can be explored for from the subsurface in terms of geothermal or natural hydrogen as well. So that is the short update on what we do and what exploration means to India and to the company as well.
No, that's a very concise, explanation which breaks down the activities that have happened in the last 4 or 5 decades. Now, Mr. Rawat, your team, you lead a team of exploration experts. You are perhaps those silent warriors that we never get to meet or see. You are behind the curtains, and you're the team which finds oil. Today, ma'am, exploration has become very important, more so with as India tries to secure resources for itself. Ma'am, in the current light of energy transition, and you are someone who has been seeing the exploration sector for more than 3 decades now. Ma'am, how has it changed in the light of, ma'am, growing importance of green energy?
Strategic requirement. I put it more as a strategic requirement, looking at the geopolitical position that India has in the subcontinent and in the South Asia. For us, energy is very, very crucial. Along with it, I would say, the strategic capacity, we need to build on that. So that is where exploration comes in handy. That is where the geology of the subsurface, whatever we can know. And right now, we have started a campaign within exploration in ONGC of trying to know and extract each molecule of energy that could be available. That's why I mentioned about natural hydrogen as well as geothermal. I'll come to that later on. But what I would like to say, in the era of transition, there is a lot of talk about carbon capture. Now, carbon capture, we either utilize it or we sequester it, store it somewhere. So again, the subsurface knowledge in terms of where it could be sequestered safely. I mean, safety and environmental impact is of huge importance to us. So we are capable of even, pinpointing the areas, the sedimentary layers where it can be sequestered safely without any leakages in the future, because we also do the seal integrity study, the geomechanical and the rock property study, knowing that, the CO2 could be sequestered. So that is one aspect of, being aware of the transition that is happening and is going to, occur at a faster pace. The other thing, as I was saying, right now, 87% of the oil is being imported, but we are producing the 50% of the production of 40 mmtoe, which ONGC does. 50% or more than 50% is gas. Now, gas is going to be the transition fuel. Even if you get into electricity, we have, gas-based turbines which can produce electricity. There is a prolific, occurrence of gas in small pockets. We have had several, more than 20, 30 discoveries of gas over the years, which are stranded. So once the national grid and the pipelines come into existence, there is going to be more and more usage of gas. We are on our own. We are trying to even get into the LNG space so that each cubic meter of gas can be made available, and gas is a much cleaner fuel, as we say. So that is one bridge that ONGC or exploration is going to provide in the energy transition game. From oil would basically get into petrochem, but if you talk of EVs, so if we have electricity through the gas-based power plant instead of coal, that is going to have a lesser pollution impact on the environment as such. And especially the East Coast, the kind of petroleum systems that we have assessed, the kind of generation potential that we have in terms of the kerogen or the source rock there is huge potential for more gas discoveries. And we have seen in the Northeast also, on land also, we have huge discoveries, and we are making more and more discoveries as techniques are improving, as evacuation facilities are improving, and as new fields are being brought into production for gas. So in transition, that is that. And as I mentioned, we also have started looking at data for the occurrence of natural hydrogen. Again, that is a very valuable and very high energy fuel, which is going to be green energy. Even right now, we find that it is not cost competent. So there have been reported occurrences of natural or golden hydrogen, as we call it, world over. So we are studying those basins. We are trying to bring in the analogy into India, the kind of setups in terms of geology and tectonics there are going to be, and where we could actually go and prospect for hydrogen. The second is, of course, the geothermal. We already have mapped, because of the humongous amount of data that we have and the temperature gradients that we have of the subsurface from the drilled wells. So we have mapped all the basins. We know where the high heat flow pockets are, and we also know at what depth they could be. So that is another potential where we can look into, in terms of exploration. The other aspect is, of course, we talk about shale oil and gas. Some areas are very rich in shale, the type of organic content it has in the western part of the country, in the Andhra, the KG basin. So we are looking into it, and also then there is when we talk about coal now, India has a lot of coal fields all over the country. We have mapped it. GSI does it. So we a couple of days back we started with the production of the coal bed methane. Now that is one of the first endeavors from ONGC to actually bring the methane from coal into usage. So we have around 5 or 6 acreages or blocks of CBM, coal bed methane, and we are trying to explore for more. And we have a lot of knowledge base, legacy knowledge, as well as a lot of data acquisition going on. So again, gas in form of the CBM, the coal bed methane, is going to be a part of the energy supply chain. So we are pretty optimistic in exploration. And of course, we have been acquiring acreages in terms of increasing our expanse for discovering more and more energy molecules, I would say, whether it be oil, gas, or any other form of energy from the natural resources.
Just to add a supplementary question to it, you've in a very detailed way told us the efforts that ONGC is making. In the recent past 6 months, and ONGC has been exploring a lot of partnerships with international oil and gas majors, for more detailed exploration of the oil and gas sector. Could you break down for our listeners, ma'am, what the efforts you and your team at ONGC are making in the exploration domain, looking at partnerships with global majors?
I mean, it's been talked about much. We already have MOUs or HOAs with a number of multinational and international oil and gas companies. I mean, foremost among them is Exxon, Chevron, Total. Then we have with Shell. We have some kind of a partnership with Equinor as well. So that is on the global front. And we also have partnership in terms of technology sharing with other companies from France, one of their smaller companies, which provides the technical assessment. And not only international, we are also in touch with all the national operators, be it from the public sector, I mean the other NOC, or the private operators. So in the past 2 years, and especially we have studied the eastern seaboard, the western seaboard in the offshore, because we all are waiting for the mega round in the offshore to come. We are awaiting the announcement of the OLP9, which is going to come. There is a lot of interest in the time being. We have had joint technical studies teams with Exxon, then we have had with Total, then we have had with Shell. So we have been studying data of different basins on land as well as offshore. Chevron, for example, if I tell you, has got their acreages in Bangladesh, and across the border in Tripura and the Assam Arakan fold belt, we have the highest gas producing asset, what we call the Tripura fold belt. So there's a lot of interest created in the offshore, especially now after the 2 new discoveries of Mahanadi. KG is already established. Mahanadi has created another buzz. So there is a lot of interest, and we are constantly in touch with them. We are sharing data, doing assessments. They have indicated, so once the rounds are announced, the other thing is there were some amendments sought by these companies in the MRSC, in the ORDA Act, which of course DGH and the MOPNG are taking care of. So ONGC and the teams in exploration, we are, shouldering the technical responsibility and the assessment. So I think, and I'm very optimistic that this is going to fructify one way or the other once the bid rounds come in, and might be some amendments are through before the bid rounds are announced.
So, ma'am, before wrapping that chat up, one last question on we see ONGC's intent has become very serious as now the company would be putting almost more than 1/3 of its capex on exploration. So, if you could, ma'am, share with our listeners the plans that ONGC has in the next 4 to 5 years of investments, how to expand the exploration sector.
See, as I told you, exploration always was and will be the driving force for ONGC to expand, to continue to prosper, and continue to produce. So the importance that is given to exploration is rightly so. The increase in capex we are seeking, and we have put the capex into it, because as I was saying, right now, we have 1.92 lakh square kilometers of acreages and blocks with us, which is both the OLP, NELP, as well as pre-NELP rounds, the nomination blocks. But the ambition is to increase this within next 2 years to 5 lakh square kilometers. So the capex, and once we have the acreages, the data acquisition has to be there, extensive data acquisition has to be there, its processing, then the drilling of wells. We have a lot of category 3 basins, more than 14 of them, which need appraisal in terms of drilling, that we are undertaking. And as you are aware, we are also venturing into the deep and the ultra deep waters. So, the capex for undertaking exploratory activities in terms of the data acquisition of various kinds, as I earlier mentioned, geochemical, geophysical, geological, seismic, non-seismic, we are intensifying that. So the realization from our perception to the actual reality of discovering new fields and ultimately putting them into production, that cycle is shortened. That cycle is earlier than what it used to be, around 7. There has been a lot of impetus. Last year we had 11 new discoveries, so it's given much more Philip to the whole angle of exploration. And as I mentioned, with the mega round coming in, huge acreages would be there. So capex is definitely required. And we are also trying to get into deeper plays. In most of the basins, the upper strata has been drilled or has been established and produced from. But we also have deeper plays which are beyond 4 kilometers of depth, and drilling deeper wells not only requires more money but better technologies and state-of-art these engineering as well. So all this would require money for exploration, and since ages we have been creating wealth for the company as well as the country. I think the effort should go on, and more capex and earlier realization would definitely bring more energy accessibility for everyone in the nation as well.
Yeah, thank you for simplifying such a technical sector, breaking down for us. And in fact, you're one of those warriors who's making those oils and gas flow into our systems.